Welcome to the extraordinary council meeting of Dubbo Regional Council. I advise that this meeting is being streamed live to the internet. All those present should refrain from making any defamatory statements, and upon joining these online meetings, you accept the condition that your image may be recorded and streamed to the internet, as well as being retained in the archive of the recorded council meetings and standing committee meetings. I now open the December 2024 Extraordinary Council meeting, the time being 11:06 a.m. Councillor Philip Toynton for the prayer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. O God, grant that by the knowledge of thy will, we may resolve shall work together for good. We pray through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of country, Councillor Wright, please.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Wiradjuri people. I'd also like to pay my respect to their elders past, present, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal people from other nations present with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Item CCL 24/285 is the leave of absence. I've received an apology from Councillors Wells and Councillor Richardson. Can I please have someone move that the apologies of Councillors Wells and Richardson's for a request of a leave of absence be approved? Councillor Toynton, seconded by Councillor Wright. I now put the motion. We'll do it electronically. Try our electronic voting. I open the voting. Please vote.
One's online's coming. Yep, they're coming.
One more, I think. There we go. I'll close the voting. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, you went.
Yeah, I pressed the wrong one. I'll now stop the voting. Motion carried unanimously. Conflicts of interest, item CCL 24/286. Do any councillors have any conflicts to declare? There being none, Councillor Cowley, could you please move your motion?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that the number of speakers, motion to extend the public forum, and that firstly that the number of speakers be increased to a maximum of 20 people speaking about the motion, and that the allocated time for the public forum, as stated in 4.3 in the Code of Meeting Practice, be extended to allow 5 minutes per speaker.
Thank you. A seconder for that, Councillor Toynton. Thank you. That motion is going to be put. Any discussion? We'll put that motion to a vote. I've now opened the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. It's a bit slow working through the system.
It's not green, but it's got dashed lines for votes. That means green.
It's hidden. I will now close the voting. Motion carried unanimously. Public forum. I'll now run through the rules for public forum. Speakers in public forum have 5 minutes to speak. When you come forward to speak, please state your name and the item that you're speaking to. When you have 30 seconds remaining, you'll hear a bell rung by myself, and at 5 minutes, you'll hear the bell rung multiple times and the microphone will be turned off and you'll conclude speaking. Registered speakers online will be asked to speak first, followed by members of the gallery who also wish to speak. Members of the gallery should refrain from making any disruptive comments, behaviour, clapping or jeering. Thank you. I now call on the registered speakers online. They will pop up on the screen. First of all, we have the Honourable Mark Banasiak, MLC.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we've got you now. Thank you, Mr. Banasiak.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the mayoral minute regarding the sport facility and the recommendations you've put forward. I guess a little bit of background. I've been a member of New South Wales State Parliament for 6 years now. Dubbo has been primarily my duty electorate. Many of you would realise I've seen my office there for the last 4 or 5 years. We're yet to relocate it, but I will never confess to know more than the locals, but given I've spent a fair amount of the last 6 years, I tend to think I know Dubbo well, and I think I can speak on some of these matters. I'm also chair of Portfolio Committee 4, which deals with Regional New South Wales and the Office of Sport. And obviously, this is a matter that concerns both those departments and both those ministers. And both those ministers and departments appear before my committee in budget estimates at least 2 or 3 times a year. So, look, I guess I'm speaking in favour of the motion. I know what such a facility can do for Dubbo. I know what facilities in my own town and region have done for my town and region in terms of improving the welfare outcomes and the economic outcomes for people in my town. It's a huge economic driver when sporting competitions come to town. And you have a wave of people coming in, spending money in the town, booking up hotels, spending money at restaurants, but more broadly for the general community of Dubbo, it would be a great thing. Now, I guess my concern, and I know the concerns that probably sprung from this mayoral minute, about whether Dubbo is going to receive this funding at all. There is strong talk. There has been for quite a few weeks in Parliament that the Department of Regional New South Wales is looking to redirect these funds away from Dubbo and move it to a neighbouring town. Now, for me, that neighbouring town being Orange. Now, for me, that creates an equity issue. Orange, as a city, has received sporting funding of significant size in the past couple of years. And I think Dubbo deserves its fair share. The reality, or political reality, is it's going to be difficult for a government to find an extra 20-odd million if the site remains at Charles Sturt. And the logical solution to all of this, as put forward in the recommendation in the mayoral minute, is that the minister actually recognises it as a variation and not a new project. That would be the most advisable and sensible thing to do for the minister. So I fully support what's been put forward. So I think it's the best foot forward Dubbo can put in terms of getting that money and getting this project built. So obviously in my position, if the council feels like they need assistance in this matter, I can raise this in budget estimates, but I'll leave that up for the council to decide at another time. But as I said, I fully endorse the comments and the recommendations put forward by the Mayor in this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banasiak, for your contribution. Next online, we have Mr. David Kirby, the General Manager at Brewarrina Shire Council. Hello, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to all the councillors and to Murray and the staff for allowing me the opportunity to speak in regards to the proposed PCYC. So I'm not sure if people would know, but we were recently under the Growing Regions Fund, under the federal fund of the Growing Regions, we were announced for a $10 million PCYC here in Bree. And I guess one of the reasons that we'd actually put in for this funding was what we find in rural and remote communities is government funding is based on a deficit model around kids that are having trouble, obviously in relation to crime and other stuff like that. What we need to start looking at in our communities is look at the kids that want to achieve excellence and having the critical infrastructure to be able to do that. One of the things we miss in most of our communities is exactly that. Now, the Dubbo being our regional centre, we rely heavily on Dubbo for sporting competitions and for our kids to participate at the next level of sporting events. And it's been like that for many, many years. A facility like this in the region for many small communities right across the state is critical for our kids to be able to do that. And when we talk about excellence, We don't just talk about it in the sporting field, but we look at it right across the social sector. Having regular meetings with the CEO of PCYC and learning more about the programs in which they actually run out right across the state. These include international programs for participants to participate all over the world. So it's our kids having that wide exposure, which goes far beyond what we see in our small communities. So I think from my perspective, it is a critical need, and I don't think we use that term enough when we talk about projects such as these. And so for us in Brewarrina, and I know a lot of the communities around us, it's something that we've needed for many years. And I do encourage the current government to get behind it, get behind Dubbo, the community council and PCYC to support this and get this thing over the line. Because as we know, we do have at-risk Indigenous kids right across the region that are crying out for help, not just from, like I said, a deficit style of thinking, but also in regards to excellence. And it's something that we need to cater for moving forward. And having the infrastructure to be able to do that is extremely critical. So I thank you to Mr. Mayor and to the councillors for allowing me to contribute today. And I wish you all the best of luck, and any support we can garner up from out in the regions, please let us know. And hopefully the government seriously consider this matter and give it all the attention it needs. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kirby. Next online, we have Councillor Ewan Jones, the Mayor of Narromine Shire Council.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks, Mayor Black, and thank you all the councillors in the room and everybody else online and people in the public gallery. I'm Ewan Jones. I'm the Mayor of Narromine Shire Council. Obviously, I've got approval from my fellow councillors to speak to support this motion today. They're all adamant, 100% agreement that it's going to be a great thing for Dubbo. Obviously, Narromine's only a stone throw away from Dubbo, including our other towns of Trangie and Tomingui. And it just makes sense to have this facility nice and handy instead of having to travel to other places further away. So obviously it's a very significant project for the wider region, not just for Dubbo, but people in Sydney probably don't, the people in Sydney, no offence, probably don't understand this. It will deliver very important diversity and engagement programs that will help and reduce the regional youth crime epidemic, as David just said from Bree. You know, we've got to get the youth happy and entertained and doing positive stuff. Kids from west and northwest of Dubbo often don't play higher sport levels as they can't afford to travel to Orange, Griffith, Wagga or Tamworth. So this money is for our region and needs to stay in our region, not to be moved somewhere else like, as previously suggested, Orange or Bathurst. There's more to programs that help Aboriginal kids than just what happens in Moree. We've got a whole western and far western region that helps us project outcomes to be delivered. So yeah, just in a nutshell, Narromine's certainly behind it. It'd be a great thing for Dubbo. Dubbo's the obvious choice to me. And I think it's about time the government stopped messing around and sitting on the funds that are already there. As was already mentioned, it's an alteration, not a new thing. So I don't understand why they just don't come good and hand the money over so you can get into the planning stages of it and move on. And that's about it from me. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. Next up online, we have Councillor Rick Fairman, OAM, the Mayor of Temora Shire Council and also the Chairperson of New South Wales Country Mayors Association.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and councillors, staff, members of the gallery, those on Zoom. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the CMA executive and members, of which we have 92, Mr. Mayor, as you'd be well aware of, as a member of our recently elected executive board. Mr. Mayor, we don't intend to get into the nitty-gritty of what is being discussed today, and I've been impressed with what with what I've heard and read thus far. But what I would say on behalf of our board and our members is that we will always back in our members. And I will place on record, Mr. Mayor, I have reached out to Minister Moriarty's office and her advisement. I haven't had a response as yet. Just to be respectful to them, of course, and to understand their perspective as well. However, I'll await their response in due course. But as I said, Mr. Mayor, we will always back in our members. And when grants have been legitimately allocated to a member council and therefore a community, and in this case, Mr. Mayor, not just your good community, but as we've heard already from Mayor Jones and others, this facility will benefit many, many others across the entire region beyond Dubbo's footprint. And I think that is most important. And I think it is the honourable thing to do is to honour that legitimate commitment. I commend you, Mr. Mayor, and your team for adapting to fall within the allocated funds. I think that is responsible, and I think that is very, very wise. But what I would say, Mr. Mayor, is that as leaders, and all of us are leaders, we always try to do our best to put ourselves in the other man's boots. And I would simply respectfully ask that the Minister and her team try and put themselves in the boots of the Dubbo regional community, the council, and those surrounding communities that will ultimately be the beneficiaries of what I think is a most impressive project. So, Mr. Mayor, with those words, we just wish you all the best, and we are here again to back our members whenever appropriate. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Furman. Next online, we have Christina Wendt, President of the Gilgandra Basketball Association.
Good morning, Mayor and Dubbo Council. I am President of Gilgandra Basketball.
Would you be able to turn your camera on?
Sorry, I'm not sure. Oh, no, I don't want to do that.
No, that's all right. Yep, yeah, go for
to.
it. That's all right.
I'm
we
so
can hear
sorry.
You. That's fine. We can hear you. It's all right.
At least you can hear me. Look, Gilgandra Basketball and Dubbo Basketball have had a long partnership for many, many years. Gilgandra Basketball, we only have one court, and we completely support Dubbo Basketball in their pursuit to have more facilities. The Gilgandra team has been to State Cup. The Dubbo basketball team has been to State Cup, and these kind of achievements that our children in our region can achieve is being achieved with limited space. So Gilgandra, we support Dubbo Basketball, we support Dubbo Council in their goals to have more facilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that contribution. We'll now move to people in the room before we go to anyone else who might come along online. In the room we have Mr. Adam Wilner, Vice President, Dubbo Regional Sports Council, please.
Thank you, Mayor Black. Good morning, councillors and DRC directors. As you mentioned, my name's Adam Wilner and I stand here today representing Dubbo Sports Council in favour of Mayor Black's mayoral minute to endorse the variation to the Dubbo Sports Hub location from the originally proposed CSU location to Sheridan Road. Before I go any further, I think I'll just give a short summary of what Dubbo Sports Council is, as we have several new councillors and a couple new directors who have recently been elected and may not be aware of its role and capacity. Sports Council is an incorporated body which has been around for 25 years, made up of all sporting groups within Dubbo and Wellington, also incorporating the local whole government area for the betterment of all sports, large or small. It is completely independent of Dubbo Regional Council and has an executive and a very strong membership base. One of Sports Council's core objectives is to collaborate with relevant organisations to identify areas that may be suitable for sporting and recreational development. This identification can take place with respect to existing needs, but perhaps the greatest value is in the identification of a development or required need to meet the future demands of sport and recreation within our local LGA and the broader community. The Sports Hub project sits clearly within this objective. Today's meeting in the matter at hand of the Sports Hub variation is only a change in location to the current site to Sheridan Road from CSU. The same indoor multi-purpose sports stadium, not a change in scope of works. There has been talk of a lack of consultation in regards to the change of the venue, of the Sports Hub from CSU to Sheridan Road. As we understand, the Sports Hub indoor facility is going to replace an existing building known as a basketball stadium in its current location, with a new building increasing court capacity from 4 to 5. This is not a monumental change to the current building that has stood for close to 40 years. Yes, it will be larger, but in essence, it is merely a well overdue upgrade to facility which will in turn benefit our local sporting clubs, schools and community, and will bring a number of visitors to the city to attend matches and carnivals in the future, thus bringing a lot of economic benefits to our many clubs, pubs and hotels. I, like a lot of people that are here today, stood in a paddock at CSU in 2018 with a lot of fanfare and media when this project was announced, not only for stage 1, but for stage 2 and stage 3, which would have also incorporated netball and tennis courts along with a rugby centre of excellence. But here we stand 6 years later and we haven't even started stage 1. There have been several factors that have inhibited the commencement of this project: COVID-19, change of government, lack of council endorsement, etc. But now we need to move forward as one to ensure that this project is not only commenced, but is finished as soon as possible for the benefit of our local community. I urge all councillors to support this mayoral minute and recommendation in the affirmative, so this project can be completed in a timely manner for the betterment of all our city and the broader community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now go back online to Mayor Glenn Neal, the Mayor of Bogan Shire Council. Thank you.
Good morning, Josh.
Yep, you're on.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. As you know, recently at the Alliance of Western Councils meeting, you raised this issue in the meeting. Absolutely 100% totally supported the fact that you wanted to raise this, and it's a pleasure to be here today to speak for this. As Mayor of Bogan Shire 30 odd years ago, I can remember that our senior league, junior league, our junior netballers and nearly everything else in town converted to the fact that Dubbo was where we had to be at some stage to give our kids the best opportunity to give them the opportunity to develop, but also to give them the exposure that they might get an opportunity to go further in sport somewhere. And we've seen many kids from here, since by that decision, have that happen. And this facility in Dubbo can only benefit the Western area. As Dave Kirby said from Bree earlier, we're all in the same boat out here. Dubbo is 2 hours away from Nyngan, be 4 hours away from Bree, basically 4 hours away from Cobar. But it's where we all go to do things, and sport is a major one of those things. So to have that hub any further away from us is just a total detriment to kids in this Western area, to anyone in this Western area. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. They shouldn't look at anywhere else. They should commit to the funds that they've promised, and it should happen in Dubbo as soon as possible for everyone in this Western area. And I wish you luck with your motion. I hope it all gets up and that everyone continues to support you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Neal. We'll now go back to people in the room. Karen Weeks from the Dubbo Netball Association.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today on behalf of Dubbo Netball Association on the Mayoral Minute. I would like to acknowledge that we meet on Wiradjuri lands and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. In May of 2019, I addressed Council to share with them our vision of the future for Dubbo Netball, a future of which the Dubbo Sports Hub was an integral part. I spoke about sustaining our growth, our need to plan with certainty, and our excitement about a facility that would allow us to be at the forefront of the West Central West region as an event host. It is now December 2024, and I am back again to repeat that message. Dubbo Netball Association memberships covers not only the Dubbo Regional Council area, but a large geographic area of the Central West region, including Narromine, Trangie, Warren, Nyngan and Gilgandra. These players and their families travel to Dubbo each week, not just to participate in our netball competition, but contributing to the Dubbo economy. We are very pleased that we have a very strong netball competition that effectively utilises the Needham McGrath Netball Complex, but for us to continue to grow and to meet the needs of our netball community, we must be able to plan with certainty and be confident in the development of facilities that will sustain us in the future. The proposed indoor sports multi-sport facility will be a massive boost to our court facilities and provide a wealth of opportunities to Dubbo and the netball community. It will provide all-weather access to courts to host competitions such as walking netball, year-round mid-week competitions, including Fast Five and mixed netball, which encompasses so many areas of our community. It will also enhance training facilities for representative, development and club teams. The location of the facility is not the issue, it is the delivery of the facility that is our concern. Our Representative Pathways program caters for age groups starting from 10 years of age. We are the strongest representative association in the West Central West region, and Dubbo Netball continues to develop players who are achieving in the Netball New South Wales high performance pathway. However, it is Orange that gets to host the West Central West region every year. And then to hear today that they are looking to divert money to a centre that already has a very strong PCYC centre with 4 indoor courts and take it away from a region that does not have that is truly disappointing. For us to maintain our strength and grow our athletes, we need to provide the facilities for training and competition. The proposed indoor facility is an absolute necessity in providing this. And again, I stress the location of the facility is not the issue. The delivery of the promised and funded venue is our priority. There are a wide range of opportunities for netball in general, including PWSA, CHS, CCC, CIS, school associations, RAS and Far West, training and RASI functions and competitions. Currently, we cannot compete with smaller regional centres like Tamworth, Orange and Griffith as a host venue. Dubbo Netball is committed to working with council and other sporting organisations to ensure that Dubbo builds a new multi-purpose sports complex for our city, and it occurs within a reasonable time frame. The people of Dubbo, our children and the generations to come deserve nothing less. To this end, Dubbo Netball Association supports the proposed variation of the project and cannot stress more highly that this project has been delayed long enough and should not be further jeopardised by bureaucracy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We're back online now for Mayor Lachlan Ford from Berkshire Council.
Hello, Council. Lachlan Ford, Mayor of Berkshire Council. Can you hear me?
Yep, that's good.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, thank you for having me on today. I just think it's important that I speak also in favour of the variation. For our kids out in the bush out west here, it's every hour extra that we've got to travel when we need to go to events and things like that. It just adds extra pressure, makes it more difficult, and it's less parents can afford to do it. I think it's very important that Dubbo is considered, and as it is considered to us, is our main service centre. It's important that we have facilities that match other regional centres in New South Wales, such as Tamworth and Orange and Bathurst. I implore the government to maintain their current funding status with Dubbo City Council and support your motion for that slight variation.
Thank you very much, Mayor Ford. Much appreciated. Next we have...
Anytime.
Thank you. Next we have Jeremy Dixon from the Dubbo Basketball Association.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councillors and others present. I'm Jeremy Dixon. Stand here representing Dubbo Basketball today in support of the mayoral minute and the variation of the sporting facility. And we stress it is just a variation of some 5 kilometres. The project for the construction of the Dubbo multi-sport facility, we were horrified to hear that the project that we've been eagerly awaiting for many years is about to be pulled from underneath us due to an 8-minute commute. There are many positive reasons to support this facility, and the change in location doesn't change any of those, and in fact, arguably strengthens it quickly. And thank you for the chance to speak, and I'll try and rush through these. But travel and money, time and money rather. Griffith, 400 kilometres, 4.5-hour drive. Tamworth, 300 kilometres, 3.5-hour drive. Bathurst, Newcastle, Illawarra, Sydney. The list goes on. These are examples of the distances the basketballers from our community are forced to travel every single time they want to represent themselves, their community, their state, and for any higher honours. This is the case for selections, training camps, tournaments. The travelling is always required. This brings with it extreme cost that clearly limits the talent pool that we can draw from to represent at higher honours. Like the netball, we already do an incredible job, but we are fighting a losing battle there against smaller communities. Our basketball community, like the wider community, are resilient, determined, disciplined and talented, despite having facilities that are much smaller, inferior, and with less available court time than many of our competitors. We still manage to get these great representations. We can only imagine how much these numbers would increase if we had access to newer, larger facilities that allowed access to courts and a greater variety of time slots and the ability to draw a wider range of coaches and get them to our city. From a growth perspective, our junior basketball is at its capacity in its current state. We're already borrowing makeshift courts from neighbouring schools. We have junior members in excess of 350 participants, and we're turning children away from playing simply because we cannot accommodate them in the 2 courts available to us. We have a high percentage of Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander and female members, which are strong growth areas, and we simply cannot unlock that growth with the current facilities. Our basketball community is not just Dubbo. Our local competition includes players and their families from areas such as Gilgandra, Wellington, Narromine, even Mudgee. Due to the lack of availability of court space, and very importantly, something that aligns directly with the PCYC to provide a diversionary activity for our youth, we hold our competitions on Friday nights, often late into the night. It means that those visiting from out of town, they're on our roads late at night just to get home. Having more courts and more available time would allow us to expand our programs to 3-on-3, disabled activities, walking basketball and so on. We just can't do that at the moment. Just checking the clock. The proposed new facility would allow Dubbo to host Western Junior League representative rounds, country championships, many school tournaments, both primary and secondary, state selection camps and many more. The economic benefits of those events are enormous. It would significantly reduce the financial barriers to participation to many of our lower socioeconomic members of the community, as the travel burden would be severely eased. Additionally, with any of these events, there would be people travelling far and wide to come to Dubbo. We know from the successes of many other sports carnivals and cultural activities that Dubbo is an excellent host city, and this new facility would only help us be better still. The proposed variation to the location of Dubbo Sports World is a positive one in our eyes. Required services are already in place. There's already car parking. The location has been familiar to all basketball families for decades. The close proximity to major schools, bus routes are already in place. The location puts the project near ever-expanding South Lakes area, with even more supporting services seemingly in the pipeline and future road corridors linking the west and east of Dubbo. Dubbo Sports World has been our home for many years. Over that time, it has provided suitable resources and access, and we've made it our home. But like a lot of things, we've simply outgrown it. Transforming into this new facility would not just allow our association, but the other various user groups unprecedented access and almost unlimited scope to grow and increase participation rates. Of course, we're not privy to design timelines and cost yet. This is still a shock to us. This is all very, very new. But even without an intimate knowledge of the project, it is clear to see that there is a much better chance of delivering the project under budget given the existing structure and services already in place. This has been some 6 years in the making. Many of those years lost in boardrooms, meetings, finger pointing, blaming, goodness knows how much money. Now is not the time for political games. We need the councillors here, ministers far and wide, to ignore which side you're on. Now is the time to follow through, do what is right for our children, our community, our future. We need this facility. It needs to be built. Thank you for your time.
Right on time. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mr. Shane Riley from the Three Rivers Regional Assembly.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for having me speak today. Good morning to councillors. My name's Shane Riley. I'm a proud Warrego Willow Wiradjuri man from here in Dubbo. My family have cared for and looked after this land for thousands and thousands of years. I'm also a senior project officer with the Three Rivers Regional Assembly, so looking after communities from Bathurst all the way out to Gilgandra, Warren, Trangie, all those small towns in between. I'm also a very active Aboriginal basketball player. I've played basketball in this region and in the state since I was a little boy. And I know how much a facility like this would mean to our communities. So just speaking on the variation, it's, yeah, in my eyes, and I suppose in communities' eyes, it's not that far. And just, I suppose, reiterating what Jeremy had just said, everybody's familiar with the location. Services are already there. I don't think it'd be a really big variation, really, to what's already existing. You know, I've played in competitions here in Dubbo and seen other sporting events being held up at Sports World. Again, you know, having a bigger facility for us to be able to hold other sporting events, such as the boxing that we've had a few times up there. You know, only growing our local talent with our netball players and with our basketball players, especially with our juniors, having to go and travel as well. You know, Dubbo being the hub of the Central West, we're always hosting events like, you know, footy carnivals and, you know, knockouts and basketballs. You know, we'd love to see some more stuff like the windmill here in Dubbo, but we can't at the moment because we just don't have the facilities to be able to provide that opportunity for community to come together and do that. I think that if this were to go ahead, we would see a growth in numbers for people younger and older. You know, I currently play basketball here in Dubbo, and I see people every week travel here from Gilgandra, from Wellington, from Narromine, just to play basketball. And then, like Jeremy said before, they're driving home late at night. So if we had the facilities to be able to provide more court time for people to be able to play, you know, obviously we'd be looking after our people on the roads, you know, late at night as well. So we're also looking after safety and all those logistics that come along with that. I think that if we get this on the road and get it happening in a timely manner, it'd be beneficial for the whole community. Thanks for letting me talk.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Frank Doolan.
Thanks very much, Mayor Black, for the opportunity to speak. Councillors, I thank you too. My name's Frank Doolan, better known as Riverbank locally. I'm a local Wiradjuri elder, but most people who know me will know that first and foremost, the thing I'm most passionate about is Dubbo, this Dubbo place. I commend council on their ability to think on their feet, to at the 11th hour come up with an alternative plan, and to actually deliver something that is, in my opinion, a viable proposal. What I say is in line with what other speakers have said here. Dubbo, not one of the larger regional centres close by. Dubbo itself really needs this facility. Dubbo needs it not just for Dubbo. Dubbo needs it because Dubbo, whether you like it or not, Premier Minns and your government, I say to you, Dubbo is the capital of Western New South Wales. Dubbo services so many communities between here and the South Australian border and the Queensland border. Dubbo is the town that people in the corner country go to, people in the back blocks. What you are saying with your decision to reallocate money that was not even originally allocated by your government, what you are saying by your actions, Premier Minns and the government of the day, you are saying to us as a collective group, the Dubbo people of the Western region of New South Wales, do not rate. I say to you that this decision should not be based on what you see as political expediency. It should not be done with the mindset of a minority government clinging to power in the attempt to shore up seats and your own position. I ask your government, Mr. Minns, to be visionary, to be big-hearted, to think about Dubbo, its people, in particular, its younger people, because it's there the promise lies. Dubbo people of the Western region have shown again and again and again that given the opportunity, we can and we do punch above our weight. We have champions, and I don't refer to state champions, Australian champions, I refer to people who have abilities which are world class, and we have people of that calibre in this region. What we do have, and they're a bit thin on the ground at present, because some people can't see the future. I say the future is here, and what we need in this part of the world are basketballers of the calibre of, say, Paddy Mills or Andrew Bogut. Please, 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 Mr. Minns, do not ignore the pleas of Dubbo City Regional Council. Do not penalise us. We should not be held accountable for Charles Sturt University pricing themselves out of existence in this instance. We have made adjustments, we have thought on our feet, and we have presented a proposal to you which says the money you preside over is not really your money, it's our money, it's been allocated, carry it through in good faith. Do not, please, 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 do not think of the people of Dubbo as an afterthought. Politics in this state extends as far as Western New South Wales. It takes in much, much more than just Western Sydney. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doolan. Next we have Tatum Moore.
Yuridu Marang, Yamandu Marang, Mr. Mayor, councillors and community members. For those that don't know me, my name is Tatum Moore, and I'm attending today as an Aboriginal community member. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak in regards to the Indoor Sports Hub project for our community, particularly for our young people. As many of you know, Dubbo is a community that's vibrant and rich in cultural tapestry. However, like many regional areas, which we've heard today, our young people often face challenges in accessing facilities and programs that foster their development and well-being. This Sports Hub project represents more than just a building. It's a beacon of opportunity for our youth. Firstly, the hub will provide a safe and inclusive space for all children, including our Aboriginal kids who are significantly a part of the Aboriginal basketball and netball community here. Sports has always been a powerful tool for bringing people together, breaking down barriers, creating opportunities, and building lifelong skills. By supporting this project, we are investing in a space where young people can learn teamwork, discipline, and leadership. Moreover, the hub will serve as a crucial venue for programs that promote physical health, mental well-being, in a time when youth mental health, suicide, and crime is a growing concern. Having access to a facility where kids can engage in positive activities is more important than ever. The PCYC has a proven track record of delivering programs that support youth development, and this hub will enable them to expand their reach and their impact. Additionally, this project is an investment in the future of Dubbo. By providing our youth with the resources and opportunities they need to thrive, we are laying the foundation for a stronger, more resilient community. The skills and values they gain through sports and community programs will benefit them throughout their lives, contributing to the social and economic fabric of our region. I understand that budget considerations are always a concern, but I urge the Council to see the project as an essential investment into our community's future. The variation in the location should not deter us from moving forward. Instead, it should inspire us to adapt and to ensure that the vision for this project is realised. In closing, I just want to emphasise that this sports hub is not just about sports. It's about providing hope, opportunity, and a brighter future for our young people. So let's come together to support this vital project and ensure that our kids have the resources they need to succeed. Thank you for your time and consideration. Mandangu.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Next, we have Lionel Wood.
Good morning, councillors. Special thanks for letting me have a talk. Just want to say I acknowledge where I meet and my elders in the room and everyone else here. I guess I speak as a concerned parent and a community member that's been here just over 20 years now. I come from a small town called Garuga, northwest, out near the border. We don't have much out there either. So a lot of the families, we travel here to, if we wanted our kids to succeed or our family to succeed, or we come here where they say the bright lights are of, the promised land, I guess. But with this money, if this money goes somewhere else, I fear that we lose another generation to that. In that sense, that families will start to move elsewhere out of our community, and then, which effectively we lose out on greatness, which we see in our kids. I work in a space where, kids are constantly telling me that I wish we had better facilities, or, I want to do this, but I can't because we can't afford to go here. We can't afford to travel here. We need to keep them home here. We need to keep them here where we can help control the outcomes and help them succeed them. I wasn't given the excellence of being told to be a basketballer, but I sure liked to play it when I was younger. But again, with the right facilities, I could have been anything. No. But I just want to, I'm afraid that we're going to lose a generation of kids to gaming or something like that, because I see it in over the last 10 years when we see kids coming through. The physical side of things, I'm speaking more of on the footy head here, like the physical side of things, we're losing them to this online stuff, and we're not having facilities that, bring in the world-class trainers and all that kind of stuff for these kids to be able to grapple onto something and strive to be something. And, have two young boys myself. I'm looking towards the future. So, if I can invest in their future in any way, whether it's a 2-minute talk or anything like that there to support something that I know that will benefit my community, or our community, not only in Dubbo, but we've heard its previous speakers right across, right out far west north, right up to the border and stuff that use our facility as a hub. Why not? Why are we standing here 6 days? I remember taking a photo with Gus Gould six years ago, and thinking, yeah, how good's this here? We got Penrith Panthers, CEO, whatever he was back then, coming out and investing in our community, and we're here 6 years down the track still fighting the same fight. And my kid's going to be standing here 20 years down the track, or 25, 30 years down the track, trying to build up the courage to speak at things like this here so they can try and better for their families. I hope not. I hope that this government can see the ludicrous in what they're trying to do, and that common sense prevails in this findings and these proceedings, that we can all work together in this, because it's going to be a community outcome that we can work together towards, and hopefully build on something great here in Dubbo. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Now, coming near the end of public forum, we have a rep from Coonamble Shire Council online.
Presenting Mayor Danny Keady from Coonamble Shire Council. My name is Barry Burrow. I'm Director of Planning and Development in the Environment, and we're very grateful to have this opportunity to talk here today and support the motion and support this very vital facility and the funding. Dubbo plays a key role in the whole region for Coonamble. It's a key regional hub in the western area, not just for health and services, but for representative sport and sport education. And sport plays a massive part in our regional communities. It's the lifeblood of our communities. It generates social benefits with different groups gathering together, lifestyle and health benefits, but it also has economic benefits in investment in the community through people participating and also suppliers of various sporting activities. So a major sports hub in Dubbo, as planned, would play a key role in keeping our young people in the region and allowing Dubbo to compete with other large centres around the state and attract more regional events, which attracts more spectators and people participating. And while this project has been delayed, nothing else has been planned in its place. So should the project not proceed, the whole western area has basically lost 6 years of potential investment. The region finally, after many years of neglect, has benefited from major grant programs flowing to the bush that has revitalised our rural and regional communities. And if this happened and the funding did not occur, it would be a very disappointing backward step from the government to pull such significant funding that's already been promised from such an important regional hub as Dubbo. So we're very grateful to have the opportunity to talk here today and support the initiative, and anything we can do to support it would be vital. Coonamble and Dubbo have a great relationship and interaction. People travel from here all the time to Dubbo for sport, for health, for services, and we need this facility. And the Mayor, again, thanks you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And the last registered speaker is via phone. I think we've got Dougal Saunders MP with Jane Diffie. Going to hold the phone up to the microphone.
Hi, I'll just do a little voice check and make sure you can all hear me okay. Is that coming through?
Yep.
Is that working at your end, Jane? Yep. Great. Well, look, first of all, apologies I can't be here in Dubbo with you. I'm actually at the Drug Summit in Sydney, and given the importance of the drug rehab facility for Dubbo, I thought it was really important to be in Sydney for the Drug Summit. But obviously the subject being discussed today by Council is extremely close to me and has been ever since I was elected. And I've heard a few speakers talk about the fact that this shouldn't be a political decision, and I could not agree more. I guess part of what I'm going to say, though, is based on the history I've had with the project as it currently stands and where I see the opportunities for the future. And this is about, as a community, us making sure that the minister involved here, the Minister for Regional New South Wales, actually does the right thing. And just from a reality point of view, Council has no official role in this, but I'm really grateful that councillors have opened this up to the community, because Council needs to help represent the community voice, as I do, and have a united front on something that from a community perspective, we all know is really important. And the voice is saying that we don't just want, we need a proper indoor facility. And that's what this should be based on. It's certainly what's been based, what the whole thing's been based on since 2018. Now, I've written to the Premier directly about this issue, and my ask today is for the community through Council to again call for the government to guarantee that the $48.6 million that was set aside for a multi-sport facility in government stays in Dubbo. That's what we want a guarantee about. Now, how that is shaped by then Council through a process, through the State Planning Department through a process, will have to be what it is. But it should be a guarantee that the $48.6 million that was set aside there by the previous government remains in Dubbo for a project. And I just want to also clarify, a few people have been talking about the variation. The variation that's being discussed today, it's not a council variation. This is a variation that's been put forward by the PCYC. In all honesty, it is not my preferred option. My preferred option is the option that sat on the table with CSU and we did a sod turn for. But, and it's a big but, we need a way forward here. So given that there has been a variation put forward by PCYC, I think it's one that the community in general can live with and will work with. So we need to move forward. And obviously, I've been intimately involved with the process from literally resurrecting the project after I was lucky enough to be elected in 2019. We did a sod turn by February of 2023 to get the project rolling with almost $50 million in the bank. And as we've heard some speakers say, it's not just about Dubbo as a region, it's about the whole Western region getting behind the idea of this project. And all of my recent discussions have been about exactly how that can happen and how we can make sure it happens in some way, shape or form. And again, just to clarify, I do not care who delivers this project. I just want it to happen. And the starting point of that is for the Premier and or the Minister for Regional New South Wales to make a guarantee. They make a guarantee to the community that the money that is there in the bank, it is sitting with the Office of Sport right now. We need a guarantee that that money will be retained in Dubbo for the project to continue. Council, I'm pleased to see, is actually being active in this space. And lobbying from a community perspective. At the end of the day, it is down to the state government now to make a decision on all of that money. $9.3 million was originally put into this in 2018. I added an extra $10 million with John Barilaro in 2019, and then we added another $23.3 million to the project in February of 2023 to do the sod turn and see this thing built. The community wants and the community needs a facility in Dubbo for the whole of the region, and as a community, we can all continue to put pressure on. If I hear anything back from the Minister or the Premier, I'll certainly let the community know. But in the meantime, we need to be one voice, united to say, keep the money in Dubbo for the sake of our entire region. Thank you very much, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. That concludes our public forum. We now move on to item CCL 24/326, Mayoral Minute Sports Hub Update Variation Proposal Change of Location. I move that Mayoral Minute. I'll read it out and then I'll speak to it. There's 7 points. 1. That Council call on the Minister for Regional New South Wales and Western New South Wales to approve as a matter of urgency the variation for the Dubbo Indoor Multisport Facility as proposed by PCYC New South Wales and supported by the Office of Sport. 2. That Council endorses the proposed location being Sheraton Road amongst a multi-school education precinct and acknowledges that the proposed location will ensure the deliverables of the grant funding are realised, which include well-proven diversionary programs for youth at risk of being involved with the criminal justice system. 3. That it be noted that the variation put forward by PCYC New South Wales is simply a change of location request and is clearly not a new project requiring a new application process. 4. That Council invite the CEO of the PCYC New South Wales to Dubbo to present the full detail of the proposed variation to Council. 5. That Council invite stakeholders to Dubbo to explain and reinforce the benefits of the project, including the regional and community outcomes, with the inclusion of, but not limited to, the CEO of Basketball New South Wales, Gymnastics New South Wales, Netball New South Wales, the CEO of the Office of Sport, and New South Wales Police Youth Command. 6. That it be noted that the expansion of capabilities in PCYCs in regional communities has shown to be an effective means to proactively address the causes of youth crime. And 7. That Council invite the Honourable Tara Moriarty, MLC, Minister for Agriculture, Regional New South Wales and Western New South Wales, to visit Dubbo to meet with Council and associated stakeholders in order to gain an insight into the community importance of the Dubbo Indoor Multisport Facility Stage 1 Dubbo Sport Hub as part of deliberations. I'll now speak to the motion. Thank you all of the speakers that joined Public Forum and other members of the gallery here today, and those watching online, especially at 52. There are a lot of people paying a lot of interest in this facility. It's not just Dubbo, it's the whole western and far western region of New South Wales. We've heard that today. The community has waited for over 6 years for this to become a reality. It's recently become known that the tender at the CSU site was tens of millions of dollars over budget. A way forward is needed, a circuit breaker was needed. PCYC, as the proponent, has sought out another way to deliver the same outcomes under budget. That is up at the Sports World Complex at Sheraton Road. So the same regional outcomes, same town, same region, same project basically, 7 minutes apart by car and meets the budget. That everyone would agree just about, requires only a variation, not a complete new application, which would then have to be reassessed, the money forfeited, and be reassessed, and hope that it gets the tick off from the ministers in Sydney and that it gets funded. As a community, we cannot take that risk. The variation is there. The minister just needs to approve the variation so that the PCYC can do their DA, take it to the planning panel, and hopefully get on with the job of providing this. This isn't just a facility for Dubbo, as I said, and it's about more than sport. It's about a lot of social outcomes, at-risk kids, getting them engaged in diversionary programs, and especially kids from out west that would come in for netball and basketball comps and camps run by the Office of Sport in school holidays. If we could reduce the youth crime through diversionary programs, then police could get on with the job of policing rather than chasing kids around streets. And that can only be good for the community and the Western community. The PCYC are experienced in delivering these sort of programs. They say that they can deliver it just like they delivered the one at South Windsor, the Hawkesbury PCYC, which was to buy an existing complex, extend it, completely renovate it. They know what they're doing. I have faith in the PCYC to be able to do that. If we lose this money, then it probably won't come back to Dubbo for a very long time, if at all. This is the end of the poles and wires money from previous electricity privatisations. I'm not sure where another $48.6 million would come from. It's a very significant amount of money. I can't think of another grant fund in Dubbo that equals that other than the hospital and a bridge. Outside of that, we're talking a huge amount of grant money here. The PC, if it was up at CSU, would we get another $20+ million to build that? We won't. We just have to look at the reality and say, Minister, approve the variation as a variation so that we can all get on with this. It was also mentioned by one of the speakers that outcomes for Aboriginal youth, it's more than Moree. We've got Dubbo, we've got the Western region, we've got the Far West. It's not just all about Moree when funds are being provided for Aboriginal youth and at-risk youth. We've got a whole heap of towns, the river towns out in the west and the northwest, where kids would be able to benefit from this facility in Dubbo. We've got vulnerable Aboriginal communities that cannot be ignored, and as a council, we can't just sit by and say, well, just take the money away, nothing we can do about it. We can do something about it. The Minister has said that she's actively looking at this proposal at the moment. As far as from the meeting last Wednesday, I get an understanding that it hasn't been signed off as, no, I'm taking the money, not just yet. So there still might be a very small chance that as a community, we can say, we really need this. This is significant for the whole region. It's a significant amount of money. It's a significant program that will deliver significant social and sporting outcomes to this community. I think that there is urgency in this. It's widely known that the Department of Regional are looking at thousands of applications that haven't, or previous grant applications that have been funded and haven't been started yet. This falls into that category. We saw in the media in the middle of last week that Glen Innes Council had funding for a rail trail taken back by Department of Regional. As a council, we can't just sit by and let that happen and then think, oh, maybe we could do something to get the funds back. We need to ensure that we do everything we can and that the Minister, the Police Minister, the Minister for Sport and the Premier hears us now before a decision is made and signed off and the money is taken away. So that's where I come from. That'll do for my little speech. Is there any debate, councillors? Councillor Toynton.
Well said, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Dickerson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got an amendment, please.
Yes.
The amendment is that 1 to 7 replaced with that council calls on the state government to continue to deliver on its commitment to the Dubbo Indoor Multi-Sport Facility project.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Ivey. Councillor Dickerson, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I am disappointed that we're holding this meeting because, as we've heard from many speakers talk about, a number of speakers there focus on great community outcomes, our state member, members of parliament, other mayors. This is a much needed project. There is no doubt about that at all. And it started way back, as we've heard, in September 2018 with the first $9.3 million grant. Now, here we are 6 years later, and this project hasn't actually started. So it's disappointing to start with that we're holding this meeting. As has been mentioned in particular by our state member, this is not a council project. This is a project that we formally withdrew from 5 years ago, leaving it in the safe and capable hands of the stakeholders that were to deliver the project. Now, many changes have occurred over those years, obviously, and there are a whole range of things that have occurred. But most importantly, the project grew from that original $9.3 million to $48.6 million, a significant sum of money. When we looked at those plans, and the last plans that I saw were at the beginning of last year when the state government made the announcement for that final tranche of money, the plans looked incredibly impressive, a great facility for Dubbo, and would add to the other facilities that Dubbo already had rather than replacing some of those facilities. So once again, a fantastic opportunity for Dubbo, fantastic outcome for Dubbo residents. And as we've heard from many of the speakers here today, fantastic for the entire region. And we all know that Dubbo is a hub for the entire region. So that is incredibly important. One of the issues that I do have with the current mayoral minute is that it focuses specifically on the Sheraton Road site. Now, as we heard from our state member, Dougal Saunders, the most important thing in this scenario is that we retain the money that's already been committed. This wasn't an election promise from the coalition government. This was a commitment of funds. There is a funding deed that's been signed for this project. So the money is there. The money doesn't have to be found. The money is already there. If we go down the path of saying we would like the project to go to Sheraton Road, there are a couple of concerns. For a start, as we've heard, the minister has said that she will consider this to be a new project, therefore a new application is needed. If we focus on the Sheraton Road site, then straight away we're doomed because the minister's already said that will be considered as a new site. If we say we want the money committed for Dubbo, which is what my amendment says, we want the commitment for Dubbo, then the site becomes secondary. And I think everyone that's spoken about it today agrees that whether it's delivered at the CSU site or whether it's delivered at the Sheraton Road site or whether there's another site that might be more suitable, the most important thing for Dubbo is the retention of these funds and the building of this facility for the future of Dubbo and the future of the entire region. So the idea of this amendment is to really make sure we're focused on the overall outcome for Dubbo. Now, I do have some minor issues with the mayoral minute that was put forward around the endorsement of a site that we don't have plans for, we don't have details for, we don't have a budget for. So I think we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves endorsing a site that we don't have the details for because, again, as I've mentioned and has been mentioned previously, council is not a party to this overall project. We're an important community member, which is why obviously this meeting's been called today, because we want to send the message to the state government that this is an important project. And as can be seen by the speakers from Dubbo and the region here today, it's an important project for the entire community. I want to see the money come to Dubbo. I'm disappointed there's already not the start of those buildings. And in fact, I think it would be delivered quicker at the existing site rather than a new site because the plan's already done and surely a staged process or a budgetary change might be a better way to implement that. I've got my amendment there, Mr. Mayor. My time's almost run out there. So that's why I'm putting this amendment forward because I want to retain these funds for Dubbo at whatever location.
Any further speakers? Yeah, on the amendment, Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'll speak in favour of the amendment. I'm a bit of a latecomer to this whole PCYC Multi Sports Hub process, and I wondered whether I was a bit remiss in that. But then I realised that council had withdrawn from the process 5 years ago, and therefore there was no real need or cause for me to be involved. I've certainly come up to speed quickly in the last week. Because it is such an absolutely vital project and a vital commitment to Dubbo and the region. I hope excerpts of Riverbank Frank Doohan's talk could perhaps be sent to the Minister because and the Premier, because I thought that really encapsulated why this region absolutely vitally needs this facility. Why I speak for the amendment, sorry, is that, Mr Mayor, you did tell me at one stage that the Minister has made a decision on this matter. And I think that's reinforced with Mr Bosniak's comment that we're in danger of this money being drawn out of Dubbo and being sent to Orange. Now, if indeed that's correct, that the Minister has made a decision and it is going to be withdrawn, the funding is going to be withdrawn, and she says that any amendment to the funding would constitute a new project and therefore would have to be the money would have to be reapplied for, really causes me to hear alarm bells. I think that if she wants that as an excuse to withdraw the money because this is a new project and she is convinced that it is a new project, then we as a council should take note of that and see what we should do to head that off, because we don't want to provide her with that excuse. It's a new project, you've got to reapply, therefore you can't do it in time, I'm taking the money out of Dubbo and putting it to Orange. We should not give her that opportunity. We have got to work around that, and to do that, let's take a step back, let's take every comment that was made from the public forum and say that that is all the reasons why it must stay in this region. It must not, doesn't matter where this site where the site at this stage where the site is, but the project must go ahead in the Dubbo region. We must, as a council, we must do everything we can to facilitate that, to have the money stay in there. And I say that one of the reasons that we do that is so that we don't give the Minister the opportunity to use it as an excuse. Mr Mayor, you said yourself that to me that the Minister has made a decision, she's going to do that. She's targeting withdrawing a whole lot of funding because the government's looking to save money. She's particularly targeting safe coalition seats. And if that's the case, it stinks, because that is not what communities are on about. But having said that, let's take a step back. Let's reaffirm that as a council we do want it to stay in the area, but let's not specifically target a particular location. Thank you.
We've got Councillor Adam Ryan online next.
Yeah, g'day everyone. Hope you can hear me all right. I'm doing this remotely in a car park. But look, first of all, I want to say I'm speaking as a councillor, a father, and a community member from Wellington, you know, and our region. Our footprint in this region puts Dubbo right in the heart of our massive footprint of where we all come from. You know, this amendment that's been put forward by Councillor Dickerson, we can't take a step backwards. You know, we've got to go forward with things, and I know there's a bit of angst and whatnot with it, but we've heard from the community, we've heard from every representative from our footprint of our Western region. Like Dougal said, we don't just want this, we need this. This is an opportunity for our kids of our future that are coming through. You know, and I can tell you firsthand, I work at the Wellington Correctional Centre, and every time a new person comes into jail and I say, what's going on, mate? Well, you know, what's happening? It's lack of services and lack of things to do in communities that young people are getting in trouble for. So if we can provide opportunities for people to go and do proactive things, become team sports players, lift up their mental health through social inclusiveness and whatnot, let's do it. Let's not take a back step, and let's not let the government dictate of where we do it or how we do it. You know, speaking from Wellington, coming to Dubbo, we're always fierce rival, you know, sports opponents, but I can firmly say we stand with Dubbo on this, and we stand with our region on this, because it's not just Dubbo, it's Wello, it's Narromine, it's Warren, it's all those places, Brewarrina, Burke. This is not just going to affect Dubbo, this is affecting everyone. If we lose this money and it goes to Orange, we're not going to travel. I'd rather travel half an hour up the road to come to bring my kids to play basketball in Dubbo. We're not going to do that in Orange. Orange has already got their stuff sorted and whatnot. We need it in Dubbo. We just don't want it. I can't emphasise that enough. We need it. We need it for our future of the region, our kids. And you know what? I'll even go as far as saying anyone that opposes this are probably the same people that are going to turn around and complain about the crime in Dubbo in our region because they want to vote down or make something, make it go backwards because it doesn't fit what they want to do. So I'm all for it. If my battery runs out, which I'm sitting in the car on my laptop, I just want to say I'm all for it and let's go forward. No backwards. No one's looking backwards.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Any further debate on the amendment, councillors? Councillor Toynton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't support the amendment. It seems that it's a watered down version. We need to hit absolutely hard with this and say this was money that was promised to Dubbo 6 years ago. Regardless of whatever delays were involved, we need to sit there and say, no, enough is enough. We need this for our region. We're here today calling an extraordinary meeting to say to the Minister, enough's enough. Give us what we were promised. Make this happen. I don't see the reason for concern to say that this is a new project. This is just a variation. We're moving it from one part of the town across 7 minutes to another place. It's more suitable, more user-friendly, where it can become a reality. So I won't be supporting the amendment. I'll support the original motion.
Thank you. Any other debate? There being none, I'll take my right of reply. The Minister's, she's assessing whether the variation applied for by PCYC is actually a variation or whether she's going to treat it as a new project. That's the assessment that the Minister is making at the moment. And that's what this motion, Mayoral Minute, is all about, is that saying to the Minister, treat it as a variation. It's extremely important. Treat it as a variation, not as a new project. You've got to look at the reality of this. If the CSU site came back after 6 years at $22 million over budget, of a budget of $48.6 million, the likelihood of getting another $22 million is just fantasy land. It simply is not going to happen in this current climate. The proponent, the PCYC, they've put this project forward as a variation to allow the same outcomes in the project to actually happen. So watering down all of what we've got in points 1 to 7 and just really taking the pressure point off. The pressure point is, Minister, there's a variation there. Please approve the variation and treat it as that, not as a whole new project. That is the pressure point. This this amendment from Councillor Dickerson, vigorously supported by Councillor Ivey, just completely relieves that pressure point on the Minister. It won't result in anything that we can build on as a community and a whole far western community, not just Dubbo and Wellington. So I couldn't speak more strongly against this. I think it's disappointing, but you have to look at the reality. It's not going to happen at CSU with the current budget. Nobody, the proponent is not talking about reducing the scope or any of those sort of things. They're talking about it going up at Sports World, deliver the same outcomes within budget. I assume they probably have looked at reducing the scope. I don't know. But the proponent has actually proposed this, that it go up at the Sports World site as a variation. Same outcomes within budget. They actually get more floor space up there. So Dougal's actually in favour of a way forward, and that way forward really is the Sports World site. So we can do something for the community and really keep the pressure on, build the pressure, or you can just let the pressure off by voting in favour of this amendment. Thank you. I will now open the voting on the amendment. If all councillors could please vote. So you're either in favour of the amendment or against the amendment. Is that everyone? That's 8. Is Councillor Butler still online? That's 9. I'll now close the voting. The amendment is lost 2 votes for, 7 against. We now go back to debate on the mayoral minute. Is there any debate on the mayoral minute, that being points 1 to 7? Councillor Cowley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, this project obviously doesn't rise or fall on council's endorsement, given that council did withdraw from direct involvement some years back. But what we are here to do is to speak for, and as we always should be a voice for our community. And it's very clear that the message from our community, our Western community, our local community, is that, as Councillor Ryan so eloquently put, we don't just want this, we need this facility for so many reasons. And as anybody who's ever been involved in service delivery in either mental health or youth or justice knows, a facility like this and the programs and the facilities that it offers isn't just about sport. It's about social inclusion, it's about mental health, it's about economic development, health, education outcomes. So council's role here is to add our voice to our communities and to support this facility being built. In a perfect world, it would already have its doors open. This is an imperfect world, and we need to do everything we possibly can to avoid losing this funding, this enormous amount of funding that we will never get back again, and this facility, losing this facility to our region altogether. Arguing semantics about this is doing our community a further disservice, and I don't think we need to come down on the wrong side of history with this. So I will certainly be supporting the motion and the facility. I've watched this from afar and from in the ring for the best part of a decade, and we need this. And perhaps could I suggest that when the dust settles, if it ever does, either way, we as a council might put our energies into calling for an inquiry as to the why and how our community was left holding, swinging in the breeze for so long with this facility, which should have its doors open by now. Let's just get on with it.
Thank you. Any other debate, councillors? Councillor Wright and Councillor Toynton.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm probably not going to add much more to what's already been said a number of times by my fellow councillors and by members of the gallery here. Lou, as Councillor Cowley said, we as council don't necessarily play an official role apart from lobbying for the community who actually voted us to sit in the seats we sit in today. This is a substantial amount of money, and as per Councillor Dickinson's attempt to throw up an alternative motion there, this is still to complete a Dubbo Indoor Multi-Sports Project facility, but I feel that the motion that stands at the moment does in fact call out the Minister because this sits on her desk at the moment, and it is up to her to make that decision on whether this is a variation or a new project. All of the information provided to council to date indicates that this is just simply a variation. It does place it in a location which, again, PCYC and other proponents feel is a suitable location. Approval of such a project anyway would be outside council scope, so it would go a bit further than council to approve this. So whilst this is suggesting council does endorse the location, the approval of such would be well and truly above council anyway. I know Dubbo's been mentioned a few times, and I would call it the Dubbo Indoor Multi-Sport Project Facility. This could be the regional facility, to be honest. And I know we've mentioned all of those names before of Narromine and Brewarrina and Gilgandra and Nyngan out through the Boganshire and Burke and Canamble. It's far greater than Dubbo, and it's also far greater than the councillors that are in the room here, and even the people in the gallery. This is probably something that half the state would benefit from. So I was very surprised to hear the comments from Mr. Benasiak a little earlier, whereby these funds could potentially be withdrawn and shifted over to Orange. Just doing a little bit of homework online there a minute ago. Orange has seen about $59.5 million invested in their Orange Sport Complex over the last couple of years, and that's a substantial investment. We're a little bit shy of that at 48.6, but yeah, I'd take every dollar of it for the particular project we're talking about here. So, so again, I too, like my fellow councillors, call on the minister to look at this sensibly, award this project, and so we can move forward with something that community's been calling on for a number of years now. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Toynton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Councillor Cowley and Councillor Wright put it very well with that. I too will support the motion. I do believe that this is acting in the best interest of our community to be able to say that this was offered. We are going to hold the relevant ministers to account to say, look, we need this. This is what was promised. And as Councillor Cowley said, if this all goes pear-shaped, I do believe that an inquiry into this would be necessary, and I would also support making that inquiry as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Toynton. Any further debate, councillors? Councillor Ryan online.
Yeah, for me. So, look, mate, it's disappointing that we're even having to sit here and go through this, and at the idea of our region losing nearly $50 million or being taken away from our youth. You know, this is very disappointing from the government if that's what they're trying to do. But look, I can't stress enough how much that our region does need this, and I just hope that everyone gets on board, and like our coat of arms, I suppose, let's move forward. We're not going backwards. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Further debate? Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I just use this opportunity to reinforce my absolute support for this project? I think, you know, that Blind Freddie can tell you we need it. Obviously we need it. There's, you know, as perhaps Councillor Ryan said, what are we even having the debate for? It's pretty obvious that we need it. But so my opposition, in being in favour of the amendment was not to try to stop the project or anything. On the contrary, I really did believe that gave it a better opportunity of success, of retaining the funds within our area than the present motion. But I do acknowledge that amendment was defeated, and I will go with that. The result of that. I just think that, and as a result of that, I will now support this motion, because I think it's, I don't think it was ideal, but I think it, having had the amendment defeated, I think it's probably is the way to go forward. I do have some problems voting for it. You know, I as a councillor try to research and understand things well. I'm voting in favour of something that says that is noted the variation put forward by PCYC is simply a change in location request and is clearly not a new project. Now, to be quite honest, I can't hand on heart say that. I don't know whether that's true or not. I do know that the original project had a budget, or had a tender price of over 70 million, and yet this project that is going to be exactly the same with no variation on it is 48 million. So I can't see that a project that is $25 million less than another project, it really is the same. Maybe it is. Perhaps it is. I don't know. But in my role as a councillor, I am not in a position to be able to say that is correct. So, as I say, I will vote in favour of the motion, but I do have some reservations for the reasons that I've outlined. Thank you.
Councillor Dickerson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly will vote against this amendment. I would feel derelict in my duties. Sorry, this motion. I would feel derelict in my duties if I actually voted in favour of this. And I'll go through some of the reasons why, but I want to state from the outset that, as I said in discussion on the amendment that I put forward, this facility, I think, is absolutely crucial for Dubbo, and we should already have this facility now, given the timeline that we've talked about previously. One of the ways to guarantee that we won't lose the money is by going back to the funding deed, the original funding deed. There is a funding deed that's been signed between the stakeholders and the state government, and if the project is delivered at the site within those funds, then all of this talk about withdrawing the funds and the state government clawing back the funds and moving somewhere else, they can't do that. As soon as we put forward a proposal that is a variation, in other words, we're supporting a variation, that is what puts at risk the funds immediately. If the existing stakeholders can find a way to deliver the project that this funding deed has been signed for within the budget by possibly changing the plans ever so slightly, but still delivering on the outcomes, or maybe staging the process, that would be a way to guarantee those funds. We're all talking about not wanting to lose the funds. I don't want to lose these funds for Dubbo. I don't know anyone that's spoken here, from councillors, from the public, from people from around the region. No one's talking about the idea that it being a good outcome to lose the funds from Dubbo. But varying the project, the minister's already said that that will be considered as a new project. Therefore, straight away, that is how we'll put those funds at risk. There's a few other things that I have some issues with in this particular mayoral minute, Mr. Mayor. One of them is a little bit like Councillor Ivey said, that where noting a variation is not a new project. Well, it obviously is. If you're changing the location and you've got an existing building, that's a new project. So to me, I can't in any way, shape or form say that I agree that it's not a new project, because it is. I can't vote for a resolution where I can see that I'm lying to the public. We're also saying that we're endorsing the proposed location. Well, we don't know enough about it. We don't know the details of the plans. We don't know the budget. There has been zero consultation, and I can't emphasise this enough, zero, not minimal consultation, zero consultation with the stakeholders on Sheraton Road. Now, we know when Boundary Road was opened up, the incredible traffic chaos that ensued along Sheraton Road, and we've done some work on that. But the 4 schools up there, when I spoke to those 4 schools, none of them were aware in any shape or form of this potential project. And straight away, their concerns were, where's the consultation? What happens to the traffic? What happens to this whole area? And I couldn't answer any of those questions, yet I'm being asked to endorse a location where zero consultation has occurred. And obviously, people are concerned about that consultation process. So I can't, there are a number of ones I could go through in intimate detail, but in essence, I can't go forward with this mayoral minute as it currently stands, simply because those items there, I would feel in my duties as a councillor, I'm not doing my job correctly. But in no way, shape or form am I saying that we don't want this money for Dubbo. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
A question from Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, I've already spoken to this particular item. So just a question then, just following on from Councillor Dickinson's comments there, just with respect to the process moving forward here, let's play a hypothetical here, and this is signed off, the money does come through, project moves forward. Can you talk a little bit maybe about the planning process going forward, especially with respect to that particular precinct that we're talking about with respect to that school area there?
To the CEO.
Maybe roads, etc. that go with that too.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I think you alluded to it before. So council wouldn't be the approval authority. It's over $30 million in a Crown project. So it would go to the regional planning panel. The facility there would have existing use rights, and that would also include credits for traffic already. So it already attracts volumes of traffic. They would have to do some further analysis depending on the scale, and that would be in the mix. We're currently designing Sheraton Road at this point in time. I think the risk of peaks of sports hub use and drop-off times at school is minimal in terms of they have a different peak. There would potentially be some overlap with afternoon school periods and wanting to use the indoor sports facility based on Sheraton Road should it go there. But there is bus links that will be moving people around anyway, and then pedestrian links as well. So I think it's all very manageable from that point of view, and noting that we'll get a very large credit for existing use in terms of the traffic generated already. So it's not going to be from scratch, if you will. So it's not moving into a blank greenfield site in that regard. That's to do with traffic. The proposal, and I have issued that to councillors from the PCYC about what their variation proposal is, and it is part refurbishment, refurbishing the existing, gutting it to a degree, but there are the existing utilities there as well, so that's shaving the costs as well. And then they'll be extending out the back. So they've got enough room to deliver. And what we mean by deliverables in a grant, so variations are common and variations can be locations in grants. It's the deliverables that are the key features. So if you change the scope, you may shrink the project, therefore you don't deliver the deliverables and you don't get as much money, you get a proportional ratio. So it's important that that outcome of usage, what services are going to be delivered, the physical delivery, so 5 indoor basketball courts, those things must be delivered as part of the funding agreement. I think the logic behind calling it a variation, certainly my experience with grants in the past, is that a mere location change is an acceptable variation historically.
Thank you. Councillor Wright?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. If there's no further debate, councillors.
Mr. Mayor, question.
Question, Councillor Dickerson.
Thank you. That was an excellent follow-up question from Councillor Wright there. And I'd like to follow up with a further question. The CEO outlined some of the processes. Obviously, it essentially means starting the planning process again. It's been 6 years so far to get to this point in time. I know it's difficult, but could the CEO potentially give an estimated timeline for all those processes to go through to then get to the stage where the PCYC could potentially get to a tender process again? Thank you.
To the CEO.
There's a lot of unknowns in that question, so I'll attempt to answer it. So both locations, CSU, with such a tender that has realised such a budget blowout, will require complete redesign. So I think they'll have either location will have to happen. PCYC in that document sent through has shown they've actually done a lot of deep diving into what they need to do at that location, at the Sheraton Road location. They have a designer on board, so they've done conceptual. So yes, they would have to drop into detailed design. That could be around 6 months' time, but I guess I'd reiterate that this will have to happen irrespective of the location, because to shave $20 million off a project would inherently mean you have to shave a lot of the design. You're starting from scratch in my experience. So around 6 months for detailed design, they would be able to use a lot of their experience. It's not just the Hawkesbury facility and talking to the CEO of PCYC, it's Wagga Wagga where they've delivered a new facility as well. So they are very experienced and know how to do this, and they've used their own contractors, they're their own project managers. So they are very experienced. So I have no reason to doubt the deliverability. I couldn't comment further on where they're up to specifically in terms of timeline. So I would suggest the detailed design at that location would be around 6 months, and then they'd enter the planning system that way.
Thank you. Councillors, if there's no further debate, doesn't look like there is, I'll have a very brief right of reply and we'll vote on this motion. The assertion that Councillor Dickerson made about speaking to the schools, look, I don't know what Councillor Dickerson told the schools. I don't know if they had the full information of what's going up there. Part of the information, only what Councillor Dickerson told them, I don't know. So I don't put a great deal of credence on those comments from Councillor Dickerson. The Minister has said that she is treating this as she is looking at it to decide whether to treat it as a variation or a new project. It's on her desk at the moment. She is assessing it. It's being assessed. That is where the urgency is at, that we need to put forward the community's views to get it out there that, Minister, this really needs to be treated as a variation, not as a whole new project. You can't take the money away from regional youth in our area. It needs to stay in Dubbo. We need this facility built. It has to happen. Given that the CSU site was a greenfield site, it's come back with 45% over budget. I don't know that there's going to be a great deal of savings up there to still, as the CEO said, deliver the same outcomes, the same deliverables. If you just did the PCYC and dropped off the basketball courts, you're delivering half of it, you get half of the money. So you're back to square one. And it was $10 million just to put the services on, roads, sewer, water, electricity, those sort of things. So that's where there's a cost saving in going to a brownfield site that's already serviced up at Sheraton Road. There's more to New South Wales than just Moree. That's what the Minns state government needs to realise. We are out here, we need funds, we need these programs for our kids, for our youth, for our region. We cannot lose this money, it cannot be taken away. This community needs this facility to be built, and we need a surety of that, and it needs to happen sooner rather than later. With that, I'll conclude. Councillors, I'll open the voting on those points 1 to 7. Please cast your vote electronically. Everyone voted. Press it again if you haven't. Councillors, I will close the voting. The motion is carried 8 votes to 1. There are no further items for consideration of the extraordinary council meeting. I declare the meeting closed, the time being 12:45 p.m. The web streaming has now been completed. Thank you for your attendance and thank you to those who joined online.